My wife walked out of a motel with her ex and headed toward the car she thought was hers. It was gone. She called me 17 times before finally going home, but the real punishment was waiting inside. No yelling, no TV, no dinner. Just my wedding ring, her spare key, and every piece of evidence laid out on the table. I'm Alvin, 37, and after 9 years of marriage, I thought I knew the difference between a rough patch and a lie. I used to be the husband who warmed up leftovers without asking too many questions, left the porch light on when my wife came home late, and told myself privacy wasn't the same thing as secrecy. I kept believing that until the night Marissa walked out of a motel with her ex, only to realize the car she'd driven there was gone. For most of our marriage, Marissa and I were ordinary in a way I used to be proud of. We had a junk drawer that never closed right, a coffee maker she hated but used every morning, and a couch we kept saying we would replace after the holidays. We argued about laundry, groceries, and whether the thermostat needed to be touched every 3 hours. Nothing glamorous, nothing tragic, just marriage. Marissa was 35, sharp, funny, when she wanted to be, and very good at making people feel like they had misunderstood her. That didn't sound dangerous at first. Early in our marriage, I thought it meant she was sensitive. If she snapped at me and then cried because I looked hurt, I would end up apologizing. If she forgot something important and I brought it up, she would say, I already feel bad enough. Do you need me to feel worse? So I learned to soften things. I learned to ask less directly. I learned to make room. The first time she said she needed space, I didn't panic. I asked what that meant. She was standing by the kitchen island, scrolling her phone with one thumb, her screen tilted away from me. I don't know, she said. Just room to breathe. Not everything has to be a discussion, Alvin. I'm not trying to make everything a discussion. You kind of are. That was how it started. Not with screaming, not with some obvious betrayal, just small doors. Closing one at a time, she changed her phone password. I noticed because she had always used the same one. A date from before we were married. One Saturday morning, she asked me to check a text from her sister Tessa while she was making eggs, then suddenly remembered she had changed the code. Oh, I updated it, she said, quickly, taking the phone back. Why? I asked. She gave me a look, because people are allowed to update passwords. I nodded, because that was true. People were allowed to update passwords. I didn't own her phone. I wasn't her parent. But then the phone started landing face down on tables. Notifications stopped showing. Previews. If I walked into a room and she was texting, her hand would move just enough to block the screen. When I asked if something was wrong, she would say she was tired. When I asked if we were wrong, she said I was being dramatic. I just need space. She repeated, you take everything personally. I tried hard not to become that husband. You know, the one, the guy who checks mileage, demands passwords, asks who every message is from. I hated the idea of becoming him, so I swallowed things. I deleted texts before sending them. I would type, who are you talking to? then stare at it, feel embarrassed, and erase it. Instead, I started making a timeline. That sounds colder than it felt. At first, it wasn't a plan. It was me trying to prove to myself I wasn't crazy if she said she was with her friend Brooke at dinner, and then later mentioned Brooke had been out of town. I emailed myself the date and what she said. If she came home smelling like a cologne I didn't wear and told me the restaurant was crowded, I wrote it down. No accusations, no spying, just notes. The first bank alert came on a Thursday night. Marissa had told me she was meeting a friend to clear her head. She had worn jeans, a black sweater, and the perfume she usually saved for nights when we went somewhere nice. I was at home eating reheated chicken over the sink because I hadn't felt like using a plate. My phone buzzed on the counter. A small charge popped up from our bank app. It wasn't huge. It was the kind of amount most people would ignore, but the merchant name had the word lodge in it. I stared at the screen long enough for the phone to dim. I texted her, thought you were at dinner. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. We changed places, she wrote. Stop interrogating me. I had asked 6 words. She answered like I had kicked an A door. After that, the details started lining up in ugly ways. Our location, sharing which we had used for years because we both hated the "are you almost" home texts began failing at strange times. It would say location unavailable right before she told me her battery died. Then 20 minutes later, she would, like something on social media from the same phone that was supposedly dead. Once, while I was using our shared tablet to order paper towels, a search suggestion popped up in the email bar. Grant. I knew the name. Everybody has a name from before the marriage that sits in the back of a relationship like a closed box. Grant was Marissa's ex from her 20s. She had described him as intense when we first dated, then later as immature, then eventually not at all. I hadn't heard his name in years. I didn't open her email. I didn't go digging through her accounts, but the tablet was synced to shared household stuff, and a recovery alert appeared on the screen a few days later while I was watching a video about fixing a leaking faucet. Security alert for alternate email. I almost dismissed it. Then I saw the preview line beneath it. Same place as last time. My stomach went cold in a very quiet way. That night, I slept badly. Marissa slept turned away from me, phone under her pillow. I looked at the ceiling and reminded myself that suspicion wasn't proof. A name wasn't proof. A preview line wasn't proof. A bank alert wasn't proof. But a pattern was something. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Ms. Harlow, and she had the kind of voice that made emotion feel like a bad investment. I sat in her office with my hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee I never drank while she asked questions that were both simple and humiliating. Do you believe your wife is having an affair? I think so. Do you have proof? Not enough. Then don't accuse her yet. I looked up. I'm not trying to trap her. I didn't say you were, Ms. Harlow said. I'm telling you not to trap yourself. Don't threaten her. Don't insult her. Don't post anything. Save everything you're legally allowed to save. I told her about the car. It was the car Marissa drove every day, but it was tied directly to me. My name was on the title, along with hers. The insurance was through my account, and the payments came from an account I funded. Ms. Harlow asked for the documents, reviewed what I had brought, and leaned back in her chair. If the car is legally tied to you, we can talk about possession, she said. If it is not, we don't touch it. Clean hands matter. Clean hands, I repeated. Very much so. Anger is expensive. Documentation is useful. That sentence stuck with me. I didn't leave her office feeling powerful. I left feeling like I had walked into a hospital before surgery. Something was wrong, and now I had to be careful with every cut. For the next 2 weeks, I lived inside a marriage that looked normal from the street. I took the trash out. I paid bills. I asked Marissa if she wanted coffee when I made mine. She became sweeter in public and colder in private. In family group chats, she started posting little comments that made me look like the problem without saying my name. Some people make you feel lonely even when they're sitting next to you. Tessa replied with a sad face. Their mother sent, "You deserve peace, honey." I stared at that one for a long time. Then I put my phone down and kept washing dishes. Daniel was the only person I told. He was my cousin, but we had grown up more like brothers. He knew how I sounded when I was pretending to be fine, and the first thing he said was, "Don't do anything stupid." I'm not planning to. That's what people say right before they do something stupid. I laughed once, but it came out wrong. Daniel softened. Listen to me. Quiet is only powerful if you stay clean. Don't touch anything you don't have a right to touch. Don't scream. Don't threaten. Don't give her a clip, a text, or a voicemail that makes you look like the villain. I know. No, you don't. You're hurt. Hurt people think one dramatic moment will fix the humiliation. It won't. He was right. The night everything happened, Marissa came downstairs with extra perfume on. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open, but not really reading anything. She had showered, curled her hair loosely, and put on a cream-colored jacket I had bought her for our anniversary 2 years earlier. I'm going out for a little while, she said, with Brooke. She looked irritated before I even finished the question. I didn't say that. Then who? I'm meeting someone to talk. I need to clear my head. Someone? Please don't make tonight weird. That was the moment I knew. Not because of what she said, but because of how prepared she sounded. Like she had already rehearsed my lines and was annoyed I wasn't reading them correctly. She grabbed her purse from the counter. The spare key to the car was still in the drawer near the back door where it had always been. The doorbell camera recorded her leaving at 8:14 p.m. She didn't look back at the house. At 8:47, the bank alert appeared. Same merchant family as before. Same general area. Another small charge that didn't match dinner, drinks, or anything. Normal. At 8:51, our location sharing went dark. At 8:56, the shared tablet lit up on the coffee table with another email recovery alert. I hadn't touched it. I was standing in the living room, holding a glass of water, watching the screen glow. The preview showed enough. Room confirmed. I called Ms. Harlow's office number first and got the after Hours line. Then I called Daniel. She's. There, I said. Where are you? Home. Stay. Home. I need to know. He exhaled. Sharply. Alvin, I'm not going inside. I'm not confronting anybody. I just need to see the car. There was a pause. Then, you keep distance, he said. Public place. No threats. No banging on doors. No touching Grant. No movie scene. Nonsense. I know. And if you take that car, you better be damn sure you have the legal right. I checked. Then don't touch anything else. I put the spare key in my pocket and drove in my older truck with the radio off. That ride felt longer than it was. Every red light gave me time to imagine stupid things. Me walking up to the room. Me shouting. Me dragging Grant by his collar. Me demanding that Marissa look me in the face. Then I heard Ms. Harlow in my head. Anger is expensive. Documentation is useful. The motel sat off of a busy road tucked behind a gas station and a closed fast food place. One of the letters in the sign flickered. It wasn't some dramatic crime scene. It was worse because it was ordinary. A few parked cars, a humming ice machine, a vending machine glowing blue near the office. And there was our car, not hidden, not tucked in the back, parked 3 spaces from a stairwell like she had gotten comfortable. I parked across the lot, near the gas station, far enough away that I wouldn't be seen unless someone was looking for me. I took photos from where I stood. The car, the plate, the motel sign in the background. Nothing invasive, nothing through windows, nothing I would be ashamed to show a lawyer. Then I waited. I wish I could say I was calm. I wasn't. My whole body felt like it had been filled with hot sand. My hands shook. My jaw hurt from clenching it. I kept thinking about every dinner I had warmed up for her, every porch light I had left on, every time I had told myself to be patient because marriage had seasons. At 10:12, a door upstairs opened. Grant came out first. I recognized him from old pictures and from the kind of memory you don't admit you kept. He was still handsome in a lazy way, with his jacket over one shoulder and his shirt not tucked right. Marissa came out behind him, laughing softly at something he said. That laugh did something to me. It wasn't loud or cool. It was relaxed. That was what hurt. She didn't look like someone trapped in a lonely marriage. She didn't look like someone clearing her head. She looked relieved. Grant touched her lower back as they walked down the stairs. I didn't move. They paused near the car, standing close enough that I didn't need imagination anymore. Marissa looked up at him with a soft face I hadn't seen at home in months. He leaned down and kissed her. Not a confused goodbye, not an accident. A familiar kiss. My body wanted to run forward. My future begged me to stay still. I waited until they walked back toward the office vending machine, probably to get something to drink or make their goodbye last longer. Then I crossed the lot, unlocked the car with the spare key, got in and drove away. No tire squeal, no message, no scene, just possession of a car my name was legally tied to, removed from a motel parking lot where my wife had taken it to meet her ex. My phone started ringing 12 minutes later. Marissa, I let it go to voicemail. It Rang again, then again, then again. By the time I pulled into our driveway, I had 9 missed calls. I parked the car in the garage, closed the door, and sat there in the dark for a full minute. Before I got out, her first voicemail was angry. Alvin, where are you? Where's the car? This is not funny. The second was sharper. You can't just take my car. Call me back right now. By the 5th, fear had started leaking through. Alvin, seriously, answer the phone. I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is insane. Then came a text. Where is my car? I stood at the kitchen counter. Looking at those 4 words, I typed back. It's not your car tonight. It's evidence. She called immediately. I turned my phone off. The house felt strange after that. Not peaceful, not empty, more like it was holding its breath. I moved carefully. I printed the bank alerts. I printed the email. Recovery notification screenshot from the shared tablet. I printed the photos of the car at the motel. I printed the appointment confirmation from S. Harlow. I didn't print anything private that I had no right to have. I didn't open Marissa's accounts. I didn't go through her drawers. Then I took off my wedding ring. That was the hardest part. Not the motel, not the kiss, the ring. It had been on my hand so long that the skin beneath it looked pale and soft. I placed it in the center of the kitchen table. Beside it, I set the spare key. Beside that, the printed evidence. On top of everything, I put 1 sheet of paper with 1 sentence. Don't call me until you're ready to tell the truth. I didn't write a speech. I didn't leave a list of insults. I didn't call her names. I left her a mirror. Then I packed a small bag and drove to Daniel's house in my truck. He opened the door before I knocked. Twice. He looked at my face, stepped aside, and said, "Guest room is ready." I slept maybe 2 hours. At 12:38 a.m., I turned my phone back on. It lit up like an emergency. 17 missed calls, 9 texts from Marissa, 3 from Tessa, 2 from Marissa's mother, 1 from Grant from an unknown number that only said, "You need to talk to your wife." That one almost made me laugh. Marissa's text started furious and then shifted into performance. "You left me stranded. This is abusive. You're trying to scare me. You had no right to humiliate me like this." Then at 12:11, she had sent a message in the family group chat. "Alvin took my car and abandoned me tonight. I came home to some creepy setup on the table, and he won't answer. I'm actually scared. For years, I had watched Marissa control rooms by being the first person to sound wounded. It usually worked. People rushed toward the person bleeding loudest. Her mother replied, "First." "What?" "Alvin, answer your wife." Tessa wrote, "Where are you?" Marissa replied, "That's not the point. He took the car and left me with no way home." Then someone else in the chat, one of her cousins, wrote, "Wait, stranded where?" No answer for 4 minutes. Then Tessa wrote, "Marissa, answer the question." Marissa wrote, "I was out." Her cousin replied, "Out where?" I stared at the screen. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to unload everything. I wanted to post the photos, the receipt, the timeline. I wanted every person who had put sad faces under her vague little posts to see the truth. Instead, I wrote one Message. I will not argue in this chat. I have evidence. This marriage is now a legal matter. Then I put the phone down. Daniel, who had been standing in the doorway with a glass of water, nodded once. That was clean, he said. It doesn't feel clean. It doesn't have to feel clean. It has to be clean. The next morning, Ms. Harlow called me. Back before I finished my coffee. Tell me what happened, she said. I told her. Everything in order. She interrupted, only to ask whether I'd threatened. Anyone touched anyone entered the motel room, accessed private accounts, or posted evidence publicly. No, I said each time. Good. From now on, no. Emotional debates, written communication. Only. Don't block her completely, but don't take bait. We will separate. Personal accounts where legally appropriate, remove her as an authorized user from accounts that are solely yours. If you have the right to do so, don't. Drain joint funds. Don't play games. I'm not trying to ruin her. No, miss. Harlow said, you're trying not to let her ruin you. That distinction mattered. By noon, Marissa had switched tactics. Her texts got calmer, which somehow made them uglier. You are acting unstable. You prove my point. You don't get to punish me because our marriage has been dead for a long time. I answered only once. You had your phone, your ex, and every option you had. Before you lied to me, future communication can be by text or email. She called me cruel. I did not respond. That afternoon, Tessa texted me privately. I need to ask you something. Were you really at a motel? I read it twice. Then I replied, Marissa was with Grant. I saw them leave together. I did not confront them. Tessa didn't answer for almost an hour. When she finally did, it was not what I expected. I think you should see something. She sent me a screenshot of a conversation between her and Marissa from 3 days earlier. Marissa had written, I can't keep living like this. He watches everything. He's cold all the time and then acts like I'm crazy for wanting air. Tessa had replied, are you safe? Marissa wrote, physically, yes, but emotionally, no. He'll explode when he finds out. Then everyone will finally see what I've been dealing with. I sat on Daniel's guest bed with the phone in my hand and felt something in me shift, not break. Breaking had happened the night before. This was different. This was the moment I understood that she had not just lied. She had been waiting for me to become useful. Useful as a villain. Useful as proof. Useful as the angry husband who made her affair look like an escape instead of a choice. Tessa called me a minute later. I answered. Her voice was small. I thought she was venting. I know. I didn't realize she was planning a reaction. She almost got one. Tessa went quiet. I added, but I didn't give it to her. No, she said, you didn't. That screenshot became part of the file I gave Miss Harlow, not because I wanted to use Tessa as a weapon, but because Marissa had already tried to use her as a witness. There was a difference between dragging someone into a fight and documenting the fact that they had already been placed there. Marissa came to Daniel's house that evening. She must have figured out where I was because Daniel's porch camera caught her pulling up in a ride share and stepping out like she was arriving for a confrontation she expected to win. Daniel opened the door, but didn't let her inside. I need to. Talk to my husband, she said. Daniel looked over his shoulder at me. I stood in the hallway far enough back that she could see me, but not close enough to turn it into a scene. You can email me, I said. Her face changed for a second. The anger dropped and panic showed underneath. Are you serious? Yes. You left me alone in that house with all of that like some kind of psycho setup. I left evidence on a table. You wanted to humiliate me. No, I said. You humiliated yourself. I just stopped hiding it for you. Her eyes filled with tears fast. Marissa could cry on command, but I also knew those tears were real in their own way. She was upset. She was scared. She was losing control of the version of the story where I was the monster and she was the woman who finally got pushed too far. You took the car, she said. You left me stranded at night. You were not stranded. You had your phone. You had Grant. You had money. You had the ability to call a ride, which you did. That car is mine. That car is legally tied to me, and you used it to lie to me. She laughed bitterly. So that's it. You're punishing me. No, I'm done protecting you from consequences. You're acting insane. There it was, the word she needed. I looked at her and thought about the screenshot Tessa had sent. He'll explode when he finds out. Then everyone will finally see what I've been dealing with. My voice came out calmer. Then I felt you wanted insane. That was the plan. I'm not giving it to you. Her mouth opened, then closed. Daniel shifted slightly beside the door. Not threatening, just present. Marissa lowered her voice. You could have talked to me. I tried being married to you, I said. I'm not interested in debating evidence. She stared at me like she hated me for not yelling. Then she said, Grant was there because I needed someone who understood me. I almost smiled, but there was no humor in it. Then he can understand you through the divorce. Her face tightened. That was when I knew Grant had already started backing away. I found out how much a day later. Marissa sent me a long email that read, like it had been written for an imaginary courtroom. She said our marriage had been emotionally dead. She said I had made the house feel unsafe. With my silence, she said taking the car was a calculated intimidation tactic. She didn't deny the motel. She didn't deny Grant. She just tried to move the spotlight. Buried near the end was one line. Even Grant thinks what you did was extreme. 2 hours after that, Tessa forwarded me another message, this one from Marissa to her. He won't answer me now. He says he didn't sign up for a divorce mess. Grant had apparently told Marissa, I care about you, but I didn't sign up for a divorce mess. I read that sentence 3 times. That was the man she had risked our marriage for. Not a great love, not a future. A man who liked being chosen until choosing came. With paperwork, Miss Harlow was not impressed or surprised. Affair partners often enjoy the fantasy more than the invoice, she said dryly. Over the next few days, everything became less dramatic and more painful. That's the part people don't talk about enough. The big scene is hot and sharp, but the aftermath is paperwork, passwords, and deciding who gets which set of dishes. I removed Marissa as an authorized user. from the credit card that was solely mine. I changed passwords on my personal accounts, not hers. I moved direct deposits where Miss Harlow told me to. I didn't empty joint accounts. I didn't cancel utilities. I didn't lock her out of the house. I kept every message. Marissa tried several more times to pull me into emotional arguments. You're enjoying this. I did not answer. You always wanted to make me the bad guy. I did not answer. You don't even care that I was lonely. That one hurt because I had cared. I had cared enough to make myself smaller for months. I had cared enough to question my instincts until the truth had to walk out of a motel and kiss another man under a flickering sign. I wrote back, loneliness is not a permission slip to lie. She didn't respond for the rest of the night. The family group chat went quiet after Tessa told Marissa she needed to stop using everyone as an audience. Marissa's mother called me once. I answered because Miss Harlow said not to create the appearance that I was unreachable about practical matters. She started with, I don't know what happened between you two, but taking a car and leaving a woman scared is not the man I thought you were. I said, ask Marissa where she was. Ask who she was with. Ask why she told Tessa I would explode when I found out. There was silence. Then she said, that's between you and your wife. It became between all of you when she put it in the group chat. She hung up soon after. Tessa called me the next day. I told her I love her, she said, sounding exhausted. But I also told her I won't lie for her. That probably cost you. It did. I'm sorry. Don't be. She used me too. That was the closest thing to vindication I got. And it didn't feel good. It just felt less lonely. Marissa moved into her sister's spare room for a short time, then into a small apartment. Grant disappeared from the story as quickly as he had re-entered it. From what Tessa told me, he stopped answering late night calls and eventually sent Marissa one stiff message about needing less chaos. Less chaos? I wondered if he knew he had helped create it. The car became a temporary legal issue, then a negotiated one. No dramatic courtroom speech. No. Judge slamming a gavel and calling Marissa a liar. Real life is slower than that. We exchanged documents. We argued. Through lawyers, we divided bills. The car stayed with me until a formal agreement was reached because my name, insurance, and payments were tied to it. Marissa hated that, but hating something doesn't make it illegal. I filed for divorce the day I signed the paperwork. I sat in my truck outside Ms. Harlow's office for a while before driving away. I thought I would feel free. Instead, I felt tired. I had spent months trying to hold up a marriage that had already been hollowed out behind my back. Daniel took me to dinner that night. Nothing fancy. We sat in a booth with menus that had laminated edges and a waitress who called everyone Han. I barely ate. After a while, he said, do you regret taking the car? I thought about Marissa standing in that motel parking lot, furious and scared, because the thing she assumed would carry her lie home was gone. I regret that there was a car to take, I said. Daniel nodded. That was the honest answer. I know some people will say I was cold. Maybe I was. I took the car. I left evidence on the table. I turned the house into a place where Marissa had to face what she had done without my anger, giving her somewhere else to point. But I didn't scream at her. I didn't touch. Grant, I didn't post her humiliation online. I didn't drain accounts or destroy her things or call her names in front of her family. I didn't give her the explosion she had already planned to use against me, and that more than anything is what broke the version of the story she wanted to tell, the last real conversation Marissa and I had before everything moved fully through. Lawyers happened by email because that was the only way I trusted the words to stay where we put them. She wrote, "You made me feel like a criminal." I stared at that sentence for a long time. Then I wrote back, "No, I made you feel witnessed." I did not send anything else. Months later, the house is quieter than it used to be. At first, the quiet felt like punishment. I would hear the refrigerator hum and think of the night I came home from the motel laying papers on the kitchen table with hands that would not stop shaking. I would walk past the drawer where the spare key used to be and feel the old anger flare up like a match. But quiet changes when nobody is using it against you. Now it feels clean. I cook dinner for myself. I leave the porch light on because I like how it looks, not because I'm waiting for someone to come home and lie about where she has been. The coffee maker still annoys me. The couch still needs replacing. The junk drawer still doesn't close right. Normal things remained. That helped. I didn't end my marriage that night. Marissa didn't end it with one kiss outside a motel either. It ended in every deleted message, every turned over phone, every vague family group chat post, every moment she hoped I would become angry enough to make her guilt easier to carry. That night, I just stopped pretending it was still alive. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.